After making this dress, I got a lot of compliments from people telling me how red is my color. And I agree with that particular statement. Red looks so good on me. Anyways, my love, this is a continuation video on how I made a fitted dress using only my accurate body measurements. And on this particular video here, we are going to be making a fitted short sleeves, and the process is going to be detailed and step by step. So from the last video, we stopped at where I tried on my dress, and the only issue I had now was my armhole was too big on the front piece. So I needed to take in that to get a fitted armhole. And that's what we're going to be trashing out on this video, okay? So I now know that every time I make any type of pattern that has a armhole and I need that armhole to be fitted, I need to take 1 inch dart on the armhole, okay? So 1 inch dart is what I need to take on my armhole to get a fitted armhole for my front piece. So once I indicated the point with my pins, I went in by 4 inches from the point, and that is where I'll be sewing in the darts so that everything is fitted and everything sits like really nice and tight. Of course, I'll go ahead and confirm that what I have on the right side is what I have on the left side. It has to be accurate. So whatever I have on the right is what I should have on the left. So I am adjusting to make sure that the point on the right is the same with the point on the left. And the next thing I'll do is use my ruler to connect the 4 inches points where I'll be sewing my darts, okay? So this is the stop point of my darts, where the 4 inches stops. That's the stop point. The start point is the point I indicated, and the stop point is the 4 inches in. And we're going to take this to the sewing machine and take in 1 inch on each side of the armhole, okay? Left, right, 1 inch. So once I did that, this is what I have. You can see that the armhole is fitted. You can see that everything now is looking really fitted and snatched, which is what I wanted. So please, if you are doing this with me, make sure that you were able to achieve a fitted armhole before we move into the next stage where we'll start drafting out the sleeves, okay? So this is what the back is looking like. As for the zip, we're going to be doing that for the next pattern that we're drafting. We're going to be taking in the zip bulge for the next pattern we're drafting. But now let's create the sleeves for the armhole. To do that, we have to measure what we have on the dress right now. So this is the armhole of the dress. And remember, I already took in my 1 inch dart. So now I can go ahead and confirm the measurement I have there, okay? The measurement on my armhole is what I'll be using to create my sleeve pattern, and I got 8 inches. So 8 inches means that the round armhole is 16, because the front is 8, the back is 8. 8 plus 8 equals 16. So make sure you take the step and grab your pattern paper, because now we're about to draft out a sleeve pattern. So this is my pattern. I'll be indicating the middle point on my pattern because we're going to be drafting the front side and the back side of the sleeve at the same time. So once I have my middle point, I'll mark 1 inch down as my start point, because this is what we do now. We always mark 1 inch down for the start point, okay? That's the starting line. So I'll label here the front, because this is my front side of my pattern and this is the back. Now the next thing we're going to do is mark the length of the sleeves from this point, and see me place my tape from that point going down by 6 inches, because 6 inches is the length of my sleeves. You guys, my sleeve is really short, so I'm using 6 inches, and I'm marking this on the front and on the back because we're going to be drafting the front and the back at the same time. Once we do the front, we'll do the back. Everything we'll do to the front, we'll do to the back, okay? So this here is the length for the back, this here is the length for the front. Next, we're going to be marking the cap height of the sleeves, and the cap height of a sleeve is measured from the shoulder tip to the underarm line. And I have pictures here to indicate what you need to do. So make sure you know what your cap height is. There's a standard measurement, and we're going to be talking about the standard measurement on a different video. But what I'll be using for my cap height is 3.5 inches. And yes, you can use 3.5 inches because it's like a standard measurement for when you're making like a dress. You can use 3.5, you can use 4 as your cap height, whichever works. But I'm using 3.5 as my cap height. So you can see that the cap height, I marked this on the front and also on the back. Please make sure you do the same, because whatever you do to the front, you do to the back until we get to the point where we do things differently. Follow the step. Just the way I'm following the step. So this is the cap height for my back, and this is the cap height for the front. Now on the cap height, we are going to be dividing the round biceps by 2. So make sure you place your tape on the picture, that whatever the picture is telling you to do, where you have your biceps. Place your tape there. Whatever you get, divide it by 2 and mark half of it to the right and half of it to the left, which is half of it to the front and half of it to the back. Okay. For my brown biceps, I got 12 inches. Divided by 2 is 6. So I'll be marking 6 to the front here and the other 6 to the back, okay, which makes it 12. So because it's your round bicep, it means that that particular measurement should sit on your front and on your back. So what I'll be doing is connect this to this point and this to this point, okay? So I'll connect this to this point here to create a slant line for the front, and also connect that point to the back 6 inches to also create a slant line for the back. Now I'll be marking that same measurement on the length because my sleeves is very short. So what I have on my round bicep is the same thing I have at the length of my sleeves, because the bicep is not far from the length of the sleeve. So I'm marking the same 6 inches on the length, and I'll connect this to my cap height. Okay, and also connect this on the back to the cap height. So that is done. Now we move into where we are doing different things for the front and the back. So we're going to be dividing the slant line into 4. Okay, so I'll start with the front. I'll divide the slant line here. You see where my tape is sitting. I'll divide whatever I have there into 4. So first I'll start by dividing by 2. Mark the middle point, which is 2. I'll mark that point there. So now I have 2 points, and I'll divide half of this point here from here to here. I'll divide that by 2. Practically, I'm trying to divide that slant line into 4, and this is how I did it. So now I'll do the same thing to this other side to get 4 points on my slant line on the front. So now you see I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now on the first, I will go up by 0.75. I'll go up by 0.75, okay? And then I'll come to the last one here. I'll come down by 0.75. And now I'll just go ahead and create a curve starting from this point. I'll create a curve to meet the 0.75 here. You can see what I'm doing. Just watch. You can pause this video. You can rewatch it. Just make sure you understand what I'm doing. So I'll just go ahead and create a curve. And this curve that I'm trying to create, I'll pass it through the second point here on my front. Okay. And then I'll take that curve to the 0.75 under the third point, and then I'll connect this to the end of my cap height like this. And now we have successfully created the sleeves curve for the front. Do you understand what I did? Please, if you need to watch, if you need to rewatch, if you need to pause, whatever you need to do, please go ahead and do it so you understand what just happened. And this is it. So this is for the front. And we'll do the same thing for the back. We'll divide that slant line into 4. Okay, divide into 4. So we need to get 4 points, just like we did for the front. So now we have 2 points. Divide these 2 points into 2. Divide the other side into 2 too, so you can get 4 points. So now we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now from this first one here, very close to the starting line, I'll mark 0.75 inch up. Just the same thing we did for the front. And then we're going to create the same type of curl we created for the front. We'll start from the main tip point, and then we'll create a curve like this. Please, you can go ahead and use your pen for this, your pencil, so you can like clean if you make a mistake. Okay. Now I'll come to the last point here. I'll divide it by 2 again. This is what makes the front and the back different. I'll divide this last point by 2. We didn't do this for the front, okay? So don't doubt. I'll divide it here by 2. And from this new point now, I'll come in by 0.25 or 0.125, whichever. And all I have to do is get my curved line to hit that last point. So it's going to pass through the second point and then come down to this new point here and then to the end of the cap height. And that's the difference between the front and the back. Okay, so you can see that I am using my eraser to clean, to make sure that my curve looks really good. So you can do the same thing, especially when you're trying to practice how to make a sleeves. Just make sure you use your pen, okay? And in case nothing is looking proper, you can clean and adjust till you get something that you can work with. Now, if you still need me to explain this particular way of making a sleeves, maybe in a longer version, like making a long sleeve, let me know, and trust me, I'm going to be doing just that, okay? So, but for the 0.75 that we went up by and the 0.25 that we went down by, all are standard measurements that I learned. So in case you're still wondering and you're saying, what if my round armhole is bigger than yours? Should I use? No, you can use the same thing I use, okay? And you're going to get something that fits your armhole. So I'm cutting this out because we're done with the short sleeves pattern. And you are meant to actually add allowance, but I'll be doing that on the fabric. So I'll be adding my own allowance on the fabric. So this is my sleeves pattern. You see how it looks? Very accurate. So this is it. And let's cut this on the fabric. So this is my fabric here. I'll just cut out what I need first, and I'll fold this into 2 because I want to cut for the right hand and the left hand the same time. So this is me placing my pattern on my fabric, and I'll pin this down before I cut. Remember, I said I'll be adding my allowance on the fabric. So when I'm cutting, I'll just add 1/2 inch allowance for joining, okay? And that is the only allowance I'll be adding. Now you can go ahead and add more allowance in case you need to like confirm what you have so that it fits your armhole on your dress, okay? Or your top, whatever you're trying to create these sleeves for. You can add more than 1/2 inch allowance, but I decided to add 1/2 inch allowance to mine because I was very sure that this will fit my dress, and it actually did fit my dress. And it's always advisable to add more than 1 inch on the base of your sleeves for hemming. But me, I didn't do that because I really wanted my sleeves to be short. This was like a practical video for me. When I'm making like a dress that isn't a practical, I'll be doing better, okay? No, my allowance. So I'll take out my pin so you see what I have. So I was just trying to indicate the right side and the wrong side of my sleeves and the front side of my sleeve because, Charlie, it can be really difficult to know which side is for the front and which side is for the back. So this is one for the right hand and this is another one for the left hand. So use your chalk to indicate where is your front and your back, okay? So when you're joining, you know where to join to your front piece and to your back piece. And of course, iron your sleeves down. Now, before we take this to go join, make sure you confirm your measurement, okay? So I had 8 inches on my armhole on the dress. I'll confirm that and see I have almost 8. I'll be taking in 1/4 inch while sewing the sleeves. Okay, so after sewing, I will bring in the dress and join my sleeves to the dress. So make sure that the sewing on your sleeves sits on the sewing on your dress. Okay, the joining where you join your front and your back piece together should be where your sleeves sit on. Okay, so these 2 sewing lines should meet, and from that point you can start joining your dress, because it is always very, very advisable that the lines on your sleeve and on your dress, let it tally, or let it be accurate. Like, let it be like a continuous line from your sleeve down to your dress. Okay, you want that to be on your dress, like that continuous line from the sewing on your sleeves. Let it be like a continuous line from that sewing down to your dress. Okay, and then you can sew by whatever allowance you left for your joining. For me, I left 1/2 inch, and that's what I'm sewing my sleeves to my armhole with. So once that is done, this is what I have. You see, I said I knew it was going to fit, and my babies, it did fit. Okay, it fits. See the continuous line that I was talking about on the sleeves to the dress. You see the continuous line? So this is it. Now let's go ahead and hem my dress, because like this is like the end. Once the sleeves is done, the next thing is to hem every part of the dress. So I'm hemming the base of my dress, and I also hem the sleeves. I'll first of all sew, and then I'll take this to my cutting table to use my hemming gum, because I wanted like a clean hem at the base of the dress and at the base of the sleeves. So I did like 1/2 inch sew in, and then I'll take this to my cutting table and use hemming gum. You can see hemming gum to like hem it, so you don't see any sewing at the base of my sleeves or at the base of my dress. Now I want to make a video where I talk about finishing for you guys, like finishing your dress, different type of way you can finish your dress, and also your neckline and also your armhole. So please let me know if you're interested in seeing that particular video. Now for the neckline of my dress, I used a bias for the finishing. Okay, and how do you attach a bias to your dress? Really simple. I use the same color bias as my dress, and I'll start by sewing from the good side of my dress. Okay, so I'll sew my bias from the good side of my dress. I'll sew in by 1/4 inch. That's from the allowance that the bias already have. You know, the bias already comes in folded, so I'll take one of the folded side and sew on the good side. And once I sew on the one of the folded side, I'll cut, and then I'll fold this into the wrong side of my dress, and I'll top stitch. So you see, I'll fold it in like this, and I'll just go ahead and top stitch. Now it is very advisable if you're a beginner to iron this down first and pin, so that you make sure that you sew this properly into the wrong side. But then if you're not a beginner, I guess you already know the process. Good luck. But you guys, this is how I made my fitted dress. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was able to help you in one way or the other. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and expect a continuation video where we use this particular pattern to create a dress that we want to wear. Okay, and I love you guys so much for sticking to the end. I'll be seeing you again on the next video. Love and light. Bye bye. Mwah!